Hello, this is Calvin Reynolds, and this is my video essay about climate change in the place that I call home. I've recently been reading a book called The Great Displacement by an American author, Jake Biddle. His book digs deep into the effects climate change has had on the American people and the damages climate change has done to the landscapes and the communities. In his book, he tells us stories from various parts of the world that have been affected by these climate disasters. In his stories, he tells us that not only have climate disasters caused a lot of harm and pain to the people, but these climate disasters have been more likely to happen now and even more in the future. He expresses many times throughout his book that experts and scientists have hypothesized that more climate disasters are going to happen in the future. He also talks about the way that climate disasters have caused communities to go into frenzies over what they should do to prevent the damages done to the communities as well as the climate disasters themselves. And I think I would have to agree with him on that point. Not only is it important to figure out strategies to prevent the damages done by these disasters, but it's also important to make sure that it doesn't cost the people and the communities a lot of money, because that can be a very big problem. I'm doing this video essay about climate change in my hometown, beautiful Lynn, Massachusetts. I decided to do my video essay about Lynn because I've lived here my whole life and I've been in and around the community. I know most of the problems we have with the climate change in the city. I really want to dive completely into the problem and want to have a better understanding about the issues like climate change and the climate disasters in this city. To start off, I'm going to present a couple of pieces of information about the city's climate change over periods of time. Let's go all the way back to the 1970s. I previously interviewed my grandfather about his experience in this climate since the 70s. He had quite to say on this matter. I asked him, what are the differences between the climate of today in Lynn compared to the climate back in the 1970s? He had a very spirited answer. He said that back then winters got really cold, that winters could start earlier and end later than it does today. He also said the amount of snow that we got back in the day was exponentially more than we get nowadays. I asked him about his experience during the blizzard of '78. He said that it was the worst snowstorm he has ever experienced. The snow piled up to around 6 to 7 feet high. He was basically trapped in his house. He had to slowly shovel his way out, and it was a scary time for him as well because his wife, my grandmother, was pregnant with my uncle and her due date was coming up, and he was scared that she would be trapped inside while she went to labor. After I compared what I learned from my grandpa to compare it to what I know about today's weather, we haven't had any recent snowstorms that have been disasters. Why is that? I think it's because New England winters have gone warmer over the years. The reason why the winters have gone shorter and warmer in Lynn is because of all the machines that have been polluting the air and the atmosphere. Our Earth is at an all-time high of warmness. Another point I want to make is that Massachusetts is 9th ranked in flood risk in the country. Scientists expect that precipitation levels are going to increase steadily over time, making it more likely that Massachusetts is going to flood in the future. That includes Lynn, Massachusetts. In conclusion, I agree with Biddle's idea that it is unjust to build walls or dams around a community to protect them for potential climate disasters. I agree with this because, yeah, it may be smart to do something like this to protect yourself, but building these structures costs a lot of time and money that will come out of the residents' pockets. Especially in Lynn, Massachusetts, there are parts of Lynn that are okay financially, but then there are parts that are financially troubled. If we were to build these structures, it would just cause a new issue, because the people who are rich and can afford and are pushing for these structures can afford it, but the less fortunate people have problems with the structures because they barely have money to live on, let alone to pay for these structures. The change in climate in Massachusetts has been very drastic. It will affect my home life now and even my future life. At the rate the climate has been going, future winters aren't going to be as enjoyable for me and my future family. I love winter growing up, but if this keeps continuing to get warmer, the winters are going to lose its magic.